Hello my creepers, it is Creepy Nessie here. I am back again with another video, and this time we are doing something different. We are talking about urban legends. Finally, I am going to be able to do more of the stuff that I said I was going to do. But you know, like I always said, there's a lot of horror movies out there that are being forgotten, and I always want to bring them to light. But right now, we are going to talk about our urban legends in Texas. Guess where your creepiness is from? Yes, I am from Texas, born and raised. Yeehaw! But as always, I hope everyone has been doing wonderful lately. And if you're just tuning into this episode, hi, I'm Creepiness, and I like to try to talk about all the horror movies. And I also like to bring in some creepiness, as in urban legends, ghost stories, and reacting to other people who are trying to be ghost hunters. And of course, since you're on this video now, you are officially one of my creepers. If you follow, then that's great. But if not, and you just like listening to me, then still, you are my creeper. But alrighty, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. I have a lot of things to say, and also add in a little bit of my opinion on some of the situations. First one is Black-Eyed Kids. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of them before. Apparently a lot of people haven't heard of them before, which is weird because if you live in Texas, pretty sure you should have heard of them. And why am I repeating myself? I don't know. But alright, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you theories about these wonderful children. The first time they got published was in 1996. They are described to have a porcelain-like skin, and of course they have pitch dark black eyes. They said you can feel them near when you suddenly feel a sense of dread. These kids appear to be the ages between 6 and 17. These clothes are often described as outdated, which adds a sense of strangeness to them. They usually appear at nighttime seeking help. They seek in some ways the means for you to let them in or come with them. They said that they have a very strong persuasive power. The witnesses often said they felt compelled to help them. They usually have a monotone voice and very repetitive verbal interactions, but can be witty at the same time. One key thing is to know that they mess with electricity. In the paranormal, electricity is the most common thing. Because every time you hear stories or anything, they always say the lights flicker or something like that, and that's because they're drawing that energy to help them manifest or whatnot. If you're a paranormal junkie like I am, who watches like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and every other freaking ghost thing possible, you know that. And the worst part is you lose communication. So if you have a black-eyed kid in your porch right now, and then they're like in a monotone voice saying, help me, help me, help me, I wouldn't let that kid in. I'll be like, there's something wrong with you, and bye. If that makes me sound bad, I'm sorry, but I've watched too many horror movies to be like, I'm not following you anywhere. I'm sorry. You know what? I might have like a little barrier against me because I watch so many horror movies and I'm like, I ain't doing that. Because let's put this in a situation. You were doing dishes at night. Suddenly someone comes to knock on your door and your lights start to flicker. And they start telling you, oh, please, mom, I need help. Please come out and help me. If this was a normal kid, she'd be screaming at me and telling me like, or crying like uncontrollably like kids do, tell me to come out, and that's when I'll panic too, and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna help you. But if you come up to me in a monotone voice and speaking in old English and saying you need help, no, I'm gonna close the door in your face and hopefully you go away. Like, no, I am not gonna let you in. But of course, when I said the communication thing, if you try to call the cops, good luck. That's probably why they have never been caught on camera, because, you know, they mess with electricity. So that does make sense in a way. The first appearance was actually in Arlington, Texas, which is not that far away from me, honestly. So I'm glad I had never witnessed one yet. But the research I was doing, I was trying to see what exactly were the black-eyed kids. Were they demons? Were they aliens? Or what is the category with them? Some say they're part of demonic situations. Some say they're actually part of the vampire family because of this persuasive power. But I have no idea. But here's my opinion. Again, here's my opinion. Have you ever watched the movies Paranormal Activity? In a way, in the Paranormal Activity, it's witchcraft involved with these witches being part of the demonic cult. Whenever you see Katie as a little girl, her eyes are black. So she is turning into a black-eyed kid. So what if they are part of a witch coven that supports under a demon? Because if you think about it, why exactly are they compelling people to follow them or to let them in? Because what does a demon always want? It wants a soul. But that's enough of the Black Eyed Kids. I definitely, if you want to learn more about it, research them. It's pretty interesting on some parts. But on to the second urban legend. This is about the Candy Lady. And this is the lore that comes from be careful who you get your candy from. So the Candy Lady's name was Clora Crane. Clora was from Terrell, Texas, which is still not far away from me. What the heck is all these lores close to me? But this is my first time hearing about this one, and we're gonna learn it together. From what I've read, Clora was a totally normal person. She was married to a farmer and she had a little girl. But everything went downhill whenever she lost her daughter in an accident out in the field. For 2 years, she was struck with grief, which is totally understandable because you lost your child. I don't think you can ever get away from that. She found out her husband was drunk at the time of watching her daughter. So because of the news, she decided to take revenge. Her husband's favorite candy was caramel bites, and she laced a few of them. It doesn't specifically say what kind of drug she used or poison, but the following day, a neighbor came by to check on her, and she saw that she was not okay. They were worried, so they called the local sheriff at the time, who she was very aggressive towards, and they took her into custody. She was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life at North Texas Lunatic Asylum, which is now Terrell State Hospital. You might think that's it, but no. So while she was there, one of her doctors found a doll that she made out of her old bed sheets. Inmates claimed that she would sing and talk to it like it was a little girl. Later in 1899, she was released due to overcrowding, and here is when the legend begins. Children began to go missing near the old Crane property. When children found a candy wrapper on their windowsill, it's a sign that the Candy Lady is watching and waiting for you. Additionally, one town farmer who came across a little rotten teeth throughout his field. Side note is that the sheriff that took Clara in custody was found dead in a ditch with his eyes stabbed into and stuffed with candy. That is Laughing Jack. I'm joking. If you don't know Laughing Jack, that is a creepypasta that usually would hang parents up against the wall and stuff their innards with candy. If you don't know what that is, if you want to learn more about that, you're going to have to look that up and dive into a very, very deep hole. Just saying that now. Okay, on to the next legend. So this one also takes place in Arlington, Texas, and it is called the Hell's Gate. Somewhere deep inside the Tango Green depths of River Legacy Park, there is rumored to be a very old trail surrounded by murky swamps and overhanging trees. This long trail seems to be a spot where captured spies of the Union Army were executed. This is why it's called Hell's Gate. It is said that if you find the spot, you might see the remains of the gatepost. They claim that if you walk the trail, you can still hear the disembodied whispered sobs and prayers of the men and women who lost their life at that awful place. I don't know about you, but Arlington, you have a lot of stuff going on over there. I know Texas has a lot of history, but that's too many lores in just one place, by the way. I know San Antonio is also another place that has too many urban legends as well, which actually this one is in San Antonio, and it is called the Donkey Lady Bridge. I'm pretty sure you have heard of it. I know a lot of my favorite YouTube paranormal people go there. The true origins of the Donkey Lady Bridge is unknown. The tale has been around long enough that there are multiple versions of it. Supposedly, it started when a farming family living outside of San Antonio that met its horrific ending. A farmer set his house on fire and murdering his children, leaving his wife disfigured. Her fingers were melted down to the stumps, creating a hoof-like deformity, and the skin on her face was so charred, giving her face a elongated donkey-like look. Grieving the loss of her children and the betrayal of her husband, she haunts Elm Creek and torments anyone who tries to cross that bridge. Would you do it? Because I wouldn't. Honestly, I might like everything paranormal and everything, but when it comes to it, I run the other way so fast. So freaking fast. I actually want to go to like haunted places and do like a live podcast or like a live thing with it and just, talk about random shit and just have recorders everywhere and like once every hour play them and see if we hear anything at all. That's what I want to do. I don't want to go on full on investigating. My two best friends do, but I'm like, you might have to handcuff me to you because I'm going to run away as soon as I hear something. just so you know. But anyways, guys, so I have one more urban legend, and this is actually in my hometown. So we have an abandoned school called Summit Elementary School. There is different stories, and they may not be true. There's not actually true reports about it, but I grew up knowing this legend. So apparently Summit Elementary School was one of the schools that became segregated. There was a janitor who hated kids and hated the fact that that happened. Allegedly, it was 4 boys of both race and buried them in the boiler room. As soon as he was getting found out, he hung himself in the boiler room, and to this day, he haunts the place along with those kids. Allegedly, you can hear little kids laughing around or him mopping up the hallways. Unfortunately, you cannot get close to that school anymore though, because now it is in custody of the police department. So as soon as you cross there, you will get arrested. But yeah, that is my little urban legend in my hometown. But alright guys, that does end our video today of urban legends. My name is Creepiness, and thank you so much for watching. Please like, please share, and please follow. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's whole week. Stay tuned and stay creepy. Bye.